My name is Raymond Shook. Today's date is May 15th, 2023. This is the week 8 final project for FTT 111, Firearms Inspection and Troubleshooting. Inspector's name is Joel King. And today we will be going over the Fastener Lab, talking about how to measure your holes, how to find those measurements. We'll be talking about how to drill and tap the holes. That way you can insert the screws in them. We will also be talking about how to fix a cross-threaded screw in the hole. We'll be talking about how to fix the head on a screw that has been damaged. And we'll also be showing how to remove a screw that has been broken by using the extractor. Okay, to get the measurements, we are first going to start by turning our dial indicator on and ensuring that it is zeroed. By zeroing it, we ensure that there is no mismeasurements. We will start by getting our length first. We will measure from one end to the other. We are showing 4.051. And I will double check that measurement in different spots to ensure that it is the same. 4.051 and 4.051. That is the same all the way. I will double check it to ensure that it is still zeroed. We will now measure the width. We're showing 2.051 2.051 and 2.051. Now that we have our length and our width, what we will do now, for now, I will turn this off. So decide, we will take our calculator and we will divide 2.051 divided by 2, and that'll give us the center of our line from side to side. That comes out to 1.0255, and this will give us our measurement right across the middle. So now that we have found our center line, we will take that again and we will divide 4.051. We will divide that by 2. Which comes out to 2.0255. Now we will take that, divide it by 2, because that gives us our center line. That comes out to 1.0127, or we'll round that up to an 8. And that'll be our lines here and here. If we take the 2.0255 and we add the 1.0128, that will bring us to 3.0383, which will be the distance from here to here. Okay, I will now use my marker. If I was doing this on a firearm, I would only mark the area where I'm going to be working at to find this deal, so I don't have to try to get the whole marker off the entire firearm. But as they showed in the video, we need to cover the entire area with either a marker, bluing compound, or something to color it. I'm going to be using the marker because it'll be easy. It makes it a little easier to see when doing this kind of work. But like I said, we need to cover the entire area of this for this project. This will take a minute, so I will fast forward through this step. Okay, now that we have all 3 of our marks marked, we will take our center punch. Very, very carefully, we will line it up in the center of our line. By pushing down, it'll slowly build pressure, and it'll give, therefore making our hole. We will now line up our second one and do the same thing. And we will move to our third one, doing the same thing. From this point, we will be moving over to our drill to drill the 3 holes. Okay, we now have the center drill in the press. We will go into the holes that we have previously marked. We will use this to take it down just a little bit more before we start drilling. To do so, you want to bring it down, and you want to make sure that it is lined up with the hole. You want to bring it down just a little bit. Then move to the next one. And make sure that it is lined up. And while doing this, you want to make sure that you are using eye protection to protect you from any little metal shavings. Normally I would use... I apologize, my last video went out before I was able to finish. I now have all 3 holes center drilled, and I will be swapping over to the drill bit to drill the hose to be ready for tapping. I now have the number 31 jobber bit to drill the hose to prepare for tapping. I will now go ahead and drill the 3 holes. And remember, make sure you use safety glasses when operating one of these. I'm going to use a little bit of WD-40 as I prefer it over other drilling compounds. I'll put a little squirt in the hole to get it started. I'll bring it down, make sure that we are centered. And as this is aluminum, it is pretty soft, so you don't really have to apply much pressure to drill through. I like to go a little ways through and apply just a little bit more fluid to ease in the cutting process. As you see, you will notice when it goes all the way through. I like to make sure that the bit is cleaned off after each time to ensure that the threads are clean for the next hole. You can see we have a nice through clean hole. We will now move to the next one. And as you can see on the second one, something had happened and it had ended up jumping just a little bit, but we still have a pretty fairly clean through hole on all 3 of them. We will now continue on to the next part, tapping. I have inserted the block of aluminum into my vise with soft jaws on it. I'm going to take the tap. I will insert it into the tap handle. And I will tighten the handle. I personally don't like getting too aggressive with these, as I have stripped out the threads on them before. We will take the tap, and with a little bit of WD-40, we'll go ahead and just lubricate the hole. And we will tap the holes so that way we have our threads for our screws. You want to remember to go a little ways and back up to clear the threads. And just keep working with this until you get all the way through. I'm going to fast forward through this part as it is time consuming, and we'll pick up when I'm finished. While tapping the third hole, my tap ended up breaking in half. I was almost all the way through when it broke. As you can see, I have all the holes tapped. I'm going to finish screwing all these screws in. And I'll move on to the next part. Let me set it over here where y'all can see the process. Move this out of the way. We'll be using the Perma Blue and the water later on. That one screws in all the way, nice and smooth. This one here, same thing, screws in all the way, nice and smooth. Once again, this one here, all the way, nice and smooth. It's important as a gunsmith to use the correct size screwdriver. For the next part, I'm going to mess up the heads of one of these screws, and we'll be using that for our next project. I've got a smaller size screwdriver here, and I'm going to just kind of wallow it around in here, kind of mess up the head. As you can see, I damaged the head of the screw. That'll be the one we will be repairing. As you can see here, I have a screw with a damaged head. I'm going to work on repairing it, and I will show you how to do that. We're going to start by grabbing a file. Let me grab the correct one. We're going to smooth down the top. As you can see, the screw has been repaired. I've sanded it down. And now we'll go to bluing it. Okay, I'm gonna start the bluing process. I have the perma blue that was sent with the kit. I have a small bowl of water to stop the process of the cold blue. I have the screw that needs to be cold blued, and I will begin cold bluing. I take the Q-tip and dip it into the perma blue. I'm going to fully coat the top of this screw. Okay, I'm going to remove the screw from the vise. And I'm going to dip it in the water to stop the bleeding process. I'll let it dry. And as you can see, we have our repaired code blued screw. I'll try to get that at another angle with better lighting. We have our repaired code blued screw. It is pretty close to the other one. I could probably take it just a little bit darker. But I'm going to stop right there so I don't end up going too dark with it. And we'll move on to the next process. Now, I'm going to take this screw. I'm going to pull it out, cross thread it, and show you how to repair the threads. Hopefully the video stays zoomed right. I'm doing this by myself and trying to do the best I can. Normally, I would drill out, I would tap a little bit bigger hole after one's cross-threaded. I'd go up to the next size. And that way when I retap the threads, it's got full threads and we ensure a good, solid fastening. I'm going to take this, I'm going to turn it just a little bit. Really going to turn it a couple turns. That should be nice and cross-threaded. I'll pull it out to where you can see. As you can see, I got a nice, good little cross thread on there. Now I will remove the screw and I will show you how to repair it. As you can see on the threads, they've been cross-threaded a little bit. Set my screwdriver to the side. Gonna grab my tap. I'll place a little bit of cutting oil in the hole to get it lubed. A little bit of cutting oil on the tap. I'm gonna set the lid back on that. And we're going to make sure we are straight. And we're going to retap. Now that the tap is through, and run it down. And Clean off the bottom of the threads to ensure we're not pulling any more of that junk back up. And we're going to remove the tap. And I'm going to run it back through just to ensure the threads are clean. Threads are clean, tap right in smooth. We'll remove it. And I'll move this screw over to this spot to show that the hole is clean and the screw runs in smoothly. Grab my screwdriver. Take the screw, I'm going to run it down in here. You can see I can run it down with my fingers. I put the screwdriver on, finish running it down in. As you can see, we have drilled and retapped the hole after cross threading. We'll move on to the next part, which will be removal of a stuck bolt. And I'll be back here in a minute with that. Okay, we are simulating that a screw is stuck. I'm going to work on this one right here. I'm going to use a Dremel. I'm going to remove the head, where they're going to drill down through the screw and use the extractor to pull the screw out. I will show how I will remove the screw using my Dremel, and then we'll move on to the next process of it. Give me a second as my phone does not want to stay put. There we go. Once again, you want to make sure you have eye protection while doing this. I have a cutting wheel on the Dremel, and we will begin. the situation. The cutting wheel had come off. Let me swap that out. Remember to always unplug your Dremel. Remember to unplug it while you're changing out bits or anything else. And we will, let me get that changed out and I will be right back with you. Okay, we have the new cutting disc back on the Dremel. We are plugged in and ready to go. We will continue cutting through the head to get the head off. Now that we have the head of the screw removed, we should move on to the next process. Now first, I'm going to take a file. I'm going to smooth that out so when I center punch it, the center punch can line up almost directly centered. Okay, now that I have it smoothed down, I'm going to put a center punch in it before I move it to the drill to drill the hole to start extracting. I'm going to put this as close to center as I can. Push down. That didn't leave a very good hole. Let me do that one more time. Okay. We are now ready to start extracting. All right. Now that we have the top flattened out and center punched, I have the center drill in the drill press. Now that I have the bit in, I'm going to plug it in, and we're going to put a little spot in the bolt so we can drill a hole through it. I'm going to ensure that it's lined up first, and we're going to put our center. We have our center drill in it. We're going to install our 5/64 bit. I'm going to put a little cutting fluid on the bolt. And once again, going to ensure that we are centered. And we are going to drill through it so we can extract. cutting wheel line. Keep her from overheating. Regular WD-40 out here to clean it up. Knock it off so you can see the hole. As you can see, we have a hole drilled. We'll be able to put the screw extractor in there to pull the screw out. And we'll continue here in a minute. Okay, now that we have the hole drilled, we can use the extractor, which I've already put in the handle. We will set it in there. Something to remember, these are reverse. So you go the same direction that you're wanting to pull out for it to catch. As you turn it, it'll slowly catch the bolt. And it'll start pulling the bolt out. As you can see, we have successfully extracted the bolt from the aluminum plate. I will pull the screw off the extractor. By reversing it. I'm going to change out the extractor for the tap. You can see I've got the 64 tap, or it's the 648NS. I like to always double check the threads after pulling one out that I've extracted to ensure that the threads are still good, as they may have been cross-threaded. That may have been what caused it to hang up. As we can see, the tap runs through easily. So we're going to remove the tap and we're going to install a screw. Screw goes in smoothly, as you can see. As you can see, we now have a new screw in the hole. That concludes our Fastener Lab. I have showed how to repair the head on a screw, how to fix cross-threaded threads, and how to remove a screw that is stuck and refuses to come out, as well as how to extract that screw. That'll be our conclusion. I appreciate you sticking with me during this, as I'm working on my shop and having to hold the camera and do all this myself. In conclusion, fasteners are a very important part of gunsmithing, because without knowing how to remove fasteners or repair them, then you'll run into situations where you won't be able to repair a part due to a fastener that is either stuck, damaged, stripped out, or possibly cross-threaded. I'd like to thank you for sticking with me during this, and I've enjoyed this course. It's been very helpful. I appreciate it. Thank you.